Hello and welcome back. My name is Vincent and I'm one of the sharpeners at Korin Japanese Trading. So we've been over many different ways of sharpening with different stones and we went through different knives. But one of the most common questions right now that I'm getting is how do I know when I need to sharpen my knife? Or how do I know when my knife is sharp? Today I got two examples of the same knife. One that's really sharp and one that's a little bit dull. And I'm going to go through different techniques to test how sharp these knives are. So first I'm going to cut this piece of printer paper. With a dull knife, you're going to see that it's not going to cut very smooth and it's going to catch a lot on the knife. I'm just going to use this leather shop real quick to remove any imperfections on the knife. And as you can see, when I cut in, sometimes it won't even catch the paper. And even if it does, it's very, very rough. It does not cut smoothly through the piece of paper. With the sharp knife, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go use a leather shop real quick. And the difference will be night and day. You can see that a sharp knife will cut through very, very smoothly. So the thing about using printer paper is that your knife doesn't have to be extremely sharp. A decently sharp knife can actually cut through a piece of paper like this very easily as well. So the ultimate test would be to use a piece of newspaper or magazine paper. Now, why is this the ultimate test? The reason is because these papers are much, much thinner. Also, magazine paper has a very slippery, glossy finish to it. So your knife needs to be very sharp to be able to cut through these. I'm going to use the dull knife once again. And as you can see, when I cut through this piece of newspaper, it's just not going to work. And sometimes it'll end up tearing the piece of paper. With a sharp knife, it's going to be a very smooth cut. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure you use the full length of your knife, starting at the heel and work your way all the way to the tip. By doing this, you're able to test sharpness for the whole length of the blade. And the final piece of paper, again, the magazine paper. With a dull knife, it's very, very rough and it sometimes does not catch. However, with a sharp knife, slice right through very, very smoothly. Another way you can do this is by folding the paper over and trying to cut this fold right here. With a sharp knife, you will still be able to cut very cleanly through the paper. So one common way that people test for sharpness is by running the knife along their fingernail. Now, the reason why I don't recommend this is the first thing is it can be very dangerous. If you slip, you can definitely hurt yourself. But the main reason why I don't like to do this is that if your knife is extremely polished, if you use a very high grit sharpening stone, what's going to happen is that your knife is going to be so polished, it's just going to slip on your fingernail. It's not really going to have enough bite to catch on your fingernail and show how that it's extremely sharp. So the paper test is going to be a much better and more accurate way to test how sharp your knife is. So there are many reasons why you want to make sure that your knife is sharp. And one of the main reasons is that if you have a sharp knife, it doesn't damage the food product that you're cutting as much as a dull knife. So right now I'm just going to go cut a few tomatoes for you and show the difference of a dull knife versus a sharp knife and how it really affects the food you're cutting. So with a dull knife, I'm going to have so much trouble cutting into the tomato. As you can see, I'm really forcing the knife into the tomato and it's forcing the flesh of the tomato to really be crushed and all the juices are flowing onto the cutting board. However, with a sharp knife, I'm going to have a much easier time slicing into the tomato, and as you can see, I'm doing much less damage to the tomato itself, preserving the flavor and appearance of the fruit itself. So I hope you find this video helpful and clears up some of the myths about how to test for sharpness in your knife. I hope you go home and try this out, and if you find that your knife is dull, go watch our videos and sharpen your knife once again.